How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we're looking at how you can make tons of gold utilizing the logging skill line in New World. But before we get into that, please consider giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps out massively. Now, let's get into it. In this video, I will go over 3 different methods, compare the results, and give you the market prices for all of the items in my server, so you can decide which method is most profitable for you in your server, based on the prices there. I'll also be focusing on methods that are a bit more niche, so no methods like ironwood routes, as they can get extremely frustrating when you're running routes and each tree you go for is already chopped down. A quick disclaimer before we get into method number 1. I'm doing all of these methods with a full 700 gear score set of lumberjack equipment, a really nice logging axe, top tier logging trophies, proficiency booster potions, 350 con, and I am PvP flagged to really maximize my gains. You can even get a music buff, the most profitable moat perk, and get top tier bags if you want to take things to another level on your runs. But now, let's get into method number 1. And it's an old classic, the cactus farm. Basically, anywhere you can find tons of tall cacti, you can do this method, and just run from one to another, chopping them all down. Gathering alacrity on the logging axe is pretty helpful when going from cactus to cactus, as well as a 300 con for that 25% chance at one hitting the cactus. This will speed up your runs the most. The area I like to use is over in Brimstone Sands, all the way north, by the Cradle's Rest fast travel point. All around it are tons of this cacti. But if there's lots of people here, you can always go somewhere else in Brimstone. To test profits for this method, I did a 30-minute run and ended up with 1,247 cactus flesh, 2,747 water, and 358 air motes. When I went to sell it all on the trade post, the cactus flesh was selling for 1.95 per, the water sold for 0.05 per, and the motes sold for 0.59 per. That left me with 2,771.97 gold. So if you times that by 2, it means you can expect to be making 5,543.94 gold per hour. Plus, even though the cacti don't reward the most logging XP, I still managed 4 aptitude crates in that hour, which just adds to the profit. But of course, like with every method, there's a disclaimer that this will all depend on prices in your server and demand for these items. So check the trade post before starting this, or any of the other methods. Next up, I wanted to test the method for a more in-demand item, but didn't want to run routes, so I went for a more AFK-friendly method. This will work with any kind of high-tier tree, so I went to the trade post and looked at the prices each tree's wood sold for, and found ironwood being the most sought after. From there, I went over to New World maps to find a spot that's kind of out of the way, with a decent amount of spawns close to one another. Around 5 is ideal, but I didn't want too many, or it would be heavily botted. And if it's near an area people go to a lot, it would slow down my grind significantly. There were a few great options, but my favorite by far ended up being this little area all the way at the bottom of the map in Cutlass Keys. There's very little foot traffic, a fast travel point isn't too far away, and there's 7 ironwood trees all within a small circle of one another, all of which are decent sized trees. While testing this, I wrote the script for this video on the side, jumping in and cutting down the trees as they spawned, and throughout the whole hour of doing it, I had no people take any of the trees from me, which is great for a high populated server like Marama, at a peak hour. It's good to have a backup AFK spot though, in case one is busy when you need it. But let's look at the results of an hour AFK cutting down these ironwood trees. By the end of the grind, I was left with 968 ironwood, 32 barbvine, 39 wildwood, 36 air motes, 4 unusual resin, and 3 craft mods. When I went over to the trade post to sell these items, the ironwood sold for 0.70 per, the barbvine sold for 6.79 per, the wild wood sold for 4.23 per, the air motes sold for 0.59 per, and the 3 craft mods sold for 97 gold combined. That brought me in a grand total of 1,156.42 gold. Not bad for an hour of AFK time. But again, compare prices with your server. You could stand to make more or less, depending on prices. Also, I managed to gain 4 aptitude crates from this grind as well, so that's just more free gold. I highly recommend this though, when you want to have the game on in the background and just make some extra gold as the trees spawn. And finally, we have the low tier wood method. For this one, I wanted to see what the profits would look like if you only went after aged and green wood, but chopped them down at a high volume. There's countless places for this, so run around areas with lots of forests until you find the best spot for you. For me, to test the numbers, I used this area just north of the Everfull capital. It's got tons of young and mature trees, plus it's got a fast travel point right in the middle of it for when I need to empty my bags. To test the numbers, I grinded out trees in this area for 30 minutes, and ended up with 6,030 green wood, 6,103 aged wood, 327 petrified wood, 92 whisper wood, 424 air motes, 100 strange resin, and 23 craft mods. If I were to sell them all without refining anything, I could sell the green wood for 0.12 per, the aged wood for 0.21 per, the petrified wood for 0.15 per, the whisper wood for 0.18 per, the air motes for 0.59 per, and the craft mods for 3 gold combined. That's a total of 2,274.23 gold, which if you times by 2, would mean you'd be making roughly 4,548.46 gold per hour doing this method. Not to mention the 4 aptitude crates I got in the process, which is just even more free gold. If you want to get really crafty with it, and get more crates and XP, you can refine all the wood you got from this grind into the most profitable tier of wood, and sell it for even more gold. But that will require you sitting on the trade post and doing quite a bit of math to find the biggest bang for your buck. Just for a quick test, I did the math on if I were to have turned as much of the resources that I earned from this grind into lumber before I sold it, which currently goes for 0.85 gold per, and after the costs of the obsidian to refine everything, I would have made an additional 1,156 gold per hour, bringing the grand total to 5,704.46 gold per hour, which is pretty impressive for such a low tier of tree. It's worth noting, I do wear a full set of woodworker gear when refining the wood though, so that helps significantly with profits. That just about tops the cactus method, plus the wood from this method sells significantly faster, but it is a lot heavier, so it requires more banking. But maybe the prices may differ in your server, so again, check prices before choosing your method of choice. But that covers 3 methods you can use to make gold with the logging skill in New World. I'll post an image now of the numbers side by side, so you can have an overview of all the methods. Plus, I'll have a list of all the current market prices for the main selling items used in these methods, so it'll be easier for you to compare prices with your server. Let me know which of these methods is most profitable for you in your server, and let me know which skill you'd like to see moneymakers for next. I plan on doing a video like this for every skill in New World, so if you'd like to see mining next, let me know, or maybe harvesting. Or if you wanted me to stick with woodcutting and you'd like to see some routes for each kind of wood, let me know as well. I'm not opposed to doing those. I just find those methods to be sometimes a bit frustrating. And if the video was of any help, please consider giving the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps out massively. But until next time, have a good one. Thanks for watching another video. If you'd like to learn how to make gold and dark matter by soloing bosses, click on the video to the left. Or, if you'd like to test your New World knowledge while you're AFK cutting some trees, click on the video to the right for a New World related quiz show.